Engineering. Today we are showing the new XER MIXA mixer and expander that we just released a couple days ago.
Okay.
And there's some other newer modules here and some classics that I can also show you as well. For the mixer, it's great. We have clickless mutes, so you can turn on mutes without any type of popping sound.
Okay.
And then within each of these, you can turn down the volume completely, really easy. We make it very performance driven, so all the things you need while you're playing is right here on the front. But if you want to adjust like some panning and maybe some synths and pre and post returns, you can do that through the menus, so you don't have to have those get in the way of your performance. So right now you're just listening to just kind of a drone that's going. What's nice about this is with this control you can go into each individual setting and you can adjust how much you want to go to the different aux sims. So I can turn it down or turn it up.
I see, so you're saying that's a different modules.
Yeah, so the one is going to reverb and the other is going to a delay. So I can adjust how much of that signal I want to go to each one of those. And then once I'm done with that, you can also adjust panning from left and right. Then I would just exit out, and now you're back to the green screen again. And you can do that for multiple ones. You can, like, if you want to do 4 at the same time, you can definitely do that. Really nice. So stereo in, 8 channels of stereo, 2 of the auxiliaries, which right now we're using Alexis and Yester as our auxiliary inputs and outputs to give some of that extra effect. And you can turn those off just like that. So now here's a dry signal. If you want to bring it in, or you can just like have everything go off.
Is it a pre or post cut? So when you, would you still be able to hear like an echo or something if you cut that?
For these, it'll just cut the entire aux sim. But you can adjust other things to keep it. Like if I, like in this case, if I cut the signal to the main here,
got
you're
it.
still going to have it. It's just going to echo out.
Yeah, yeah, cool.
But this is like a harsh, like it's.
We got to get it out of there.
Yeah. Some people do it for dramatic effect. Shoot everything down, push everything back up. You know?
Sure. Yeah, build, cut.
Yeah. So it's great. There's these controls. I won't go too granular, but you can save and load scenes, which is nice. So once you set all these parameters, you save that scene, and you can recall it later. So you can have up to 8 different scenes. So if you have like more of a techno scene, more of an ambient scene, or more of a just a glitchy scene, you can just go to those scenes and fire them up, and they're ready to go. It also has MIDI ins and outs. So if you're into MIDI, there's a whole bunch of functionality to make that happen. So if you want to control it with a space bar on your Ableton, or you have a Syntact and you want to have the Syntact control your modular, you can do that as well, which is really nice. And what's also great about this is this expander, which allows you to have some modulation. Otherwise, your hand is doing all the work.
Right.
But like in this case, I have a gate that's going through. It's just off and on, slow gate, coming to this expander input here, which is connecting to this. So it's turning itself off and on, and I'm not touching it. And it's going because it's automatically doing it through this gate here.
Right.
So, and then you can also just turn it off completely, and then bring it back in when the time is right. So that's what's really nice. You can do panning and volume and the different controls, but the muting is like an easy way to show how that works. So that's just a bit. That's pretty much like.
So it's clearly really deep. Are there any other features that set this apart from the other stuff that's in this sort of world?
Yeah, definitely having it smaller and only featuring the hardware that matters to you as performance.
Yeah.
So what matters is your volume controls, your mutes, being able to turn down your mix quickly, you know, and then once you deep dive, that's more of like setting it up for performance. But then once you're playing, this is all you really need to do.
Right, you're just tweaking that stuff.
Yeah, so there's no extra switches or buttons that are just like always there that you might accidentally hit. Like what you have on the front end is what you really need.
What you need when you're
and everything else can be handled through the screen and controlling it that way.
Yeah, it seems very performance oriented. that's what I've been hearing from people when I've asked around. A lot of people are like, well, a lot of the stuff that's out there, the hardest part is getting it from being like, okay, I got a cool sound in my room, but how do I get that to a live situation? You know? So this seems like a solution for that for a lot of people.
And there's also a queuing system, so if some people want to hear what they're going to play before they flip it up,
right?
You sacrifice one of the auxiliary channels to get it, but you do have that function. So if you want to hear something beforehand, like okay, that's all tuned in, great, and then fire it up, then you have that guarantee that everything's going to be okay. So yeah, and then what we're listening to here is one of my favorite oscillators, Loquelica. Just gonna let that run by itself. So it's just a really it's really pretty. I can also, like, this is, you can turn the knobs like I was doing to get a lot of that control.
That's such a great vowel character to it.
But when you're doing this, you can't really do much with anything else because your hands are over here. So what I like about this module over here, with Lattice Os, is I can have this do the work for me. So let's say I want to turn all 4 of these at the same time.
Right.
Or maybe just 2 of them at the same time. So I can plug this in here, plug in a second. So now I have 2 controlling. So as I turn this up, here better. So now I'm running these 2 knobs at the same time. So this allows me to do other things with this hand. Interesting little pickup thing going.
Yeah, no,
so I'm going to put that, you can actually put that back in sync. Then, as I was telling you earlier, we love putting wavefolding on things, but even with like the echo, really interesting.
So am I listening to a delay, a chorus, or wavefolding?
Yes, and yes.
Yes.
So you have wavefolding, you have a chorus, and then you have your dry signal, and then you add in. It's really into it. I'll just go straight dry. And then you can also add more. Just depends on what I want to add here. So right now, I'm just running everything through the delay. But if I turn this up like I mentioned before, so now I'm adding more to the reverb. Or if I turn down this one completely, so now we're just running off of echo. And then if I turn this off, like we were saying before, just let that ride out. And maybe just adjust the EQ a little bit.
Some hands in the air.
Yeah. And then bring it back. So you're able to, like, what I like about it is you can adjust the volumes going in, manipulate it a little bit, take a little journey, pull you back into the maybe bring down here. And then just when everything's beautiful, kind of throw in like it's what's called a shift register. It's a LFSR is a type of shift register. There's also a square wave, So you can run up just square waves and then just manipulate those. You can adjust the octaves as well, so we're hearing a higher end. If I take everything here and drop it down really low, it's going to get really weird.
Right, we're out of audio range.
Yeah, now you're just like listening like really glitchy. Then you can get really kind of wicked, like almost like thunders and farts. So you can like turn your beautiful mix into something like totally destruction, you know. Maybe let that ring out. And again, you can kind of break things down. And bring in what I call the respace.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Which is a stereo oscillator called Berkeleer Legio. And here you can just do a lot of like, with having it stereo, you can do some like warbling between the two. Bring it back in. You can even like change your pattern here, so. So I just took the melody line from the melodic and added it to this. Maybe add more drum. And then we can bring in the nasty anorexic again. And then, since we're in the, we make sure the synths are working correctly here, so we're getting good signal. And add a little more.
Beautiful.
Okay. So, just kind of evolving and finding ways to, you know, just to kind of pull you through a journey. So,
What I love about this stuff in particular is compared to everything else I've heard here, there's the sound of it. I'm a very sound-oriented person, but not so much hands-on. And then it's also very performance-oriented. You know, everything seems like you weren't really using that many modules to make something that was really nice. Like very big, very thick, you know, none of it felt kind of like, there's that sort of sound where it can get a little reedy or whatever, and this was just all really thick. Yeah, just really incredible, you know, huge. And I'm a complete noob to this, and I felt like I got 85% of that, so that's great, you know.
But good, like, and what we like about our modules specifically is that they're very hands-on, very tactile. You're not doing a lot of menu diving at all. I mean, this is the first screen out of the 70 modules we put out. In the
70, and that's the first screen?
It's the first screen.
Wow.
We felt it had a purpose, and the purpose was to not make this module twice as big with all these other controls that you'll never touch and get dusty.
Yeah.
So why not just kind of put them under the hood?
But you do kind of need a meter for if you're doing effect sense and stuff like that.
Sure.
It's kind of useful. You know?
It's very useful. But it really, that's what I like about our gear is that it encourages you to just play it. Like even what I was doing with this anorexic, just to put this at its core level. So this is just the basic. That's it. You know, there's not a lot going on with it. Take that out. And what I really like about it is just like just turn one knob and you'll fall in love, kind of a thing. So if you just turn one knob. And then maybe a second knob. You know, it's just trying to listen to it and determine what's musical. Maybe get into some like dirty stuff there. And then maybe you get into like a bring it back, you know. So it's all I'm doing is just turning knobs, just trying to find creative ways to kind of like present that.
Yeah,
And I think having the knobs around and not a lot of just poking around, like where's my sequence, these type of things tend to I think takes away from the artistry of really having a nice performance. So
yeah, you were in a flow state that whole time. You weren't like thinking, you know. And what's incredible too is the mixture of music. Like it doesn't get too atonal or anything. Like there's still a note in there until you don't want it, and then it sounds really great.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just so cool. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for giving us a little bit of your time.
You're
and,
welcome.
yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course.